Hello friends, good evening to all. In the last few lectures, we already have discussed about the India's independence movement, some important charters and the acts. Other than this, we also discussed about the some prominent figures of the Indian national movement such as Tilak, Nauroji, and many more. Right now, we are going to discuss about the one of the most prominent and the important leader of the India's independence movement. He was a very staunch supporter of the nationalism. So, particularly in this lecture, we will be dealing with the idea of nationalism propagated by the Hussain Ahmad Madani. Hussain Ahmad Madani uh, was born on October 6 in 1879 and he died on December 5, 1957. He was one of the very known personality in the Islamic world uh, as an Islamic scholar. And Madni also became a principal of Darul Uloom Deoband, which is in Saharanpur nowadays in the Uttar Pradesh. He was one of the first recipient of the civilian honor of Padma Bhushan in 1954, and he also played a very important role in solidifying the Congress Khilafat Pact during the 1920s. He also advocated for the cooperation between the Indian ulama and the Indian National Congress, which we can evident through his lectures and the pamphlets in the 1920s and the 30s. His most important work, which is famous across the globe, is Muttahida Qawmiyat or Islam, which is also known as Islam and the Composite Nationalism, that was published in 1938, where he advocated for a united country and also opposed the idea of the partition. His early career and his life includes that we already know that he was born in the Bangarmo, a small town in the district of Unnao, Uttar Pradesh, India. His family originally hailed from Tanda in the Faizabad district. His father, Sayyid Habibullah, was a teacher in the Bangarmo and was descended from the Islamic prophet Muhammad through Hussain ibn Ali, which spanning 35 generations. Sayyid Nurul Haq, a descendant of the Hussain ibn Ali in the 16th century, in the 16th generation, was granted 24 villages in Tanda by the Emperor of Delhi. Over time, some of his land was inherited by the Sayyid Habibullah. After graduating from the Darul Deoband, Madni migrated to Medina with his family, and in there he taught various Islamic sciences such as Arabic grammar, Usul al-Fiqh, Usul al-Hadith, and Quranic exegesis for the 18 years. And Madani was later appointed as the head teacher of and Sheikhul Hadith of Darul Uloom Deoband, where he served for approximately 28 years. His political ideas are very important because the most prominent idea that he has given was the composite nationalism is very significant not only for exploring the relationship between Islam and nationalism, but more importantly for discussing the practical suggestions and the policies adopted by the Muslims clerics in the cases such as Deobandis in regard to non-Muslims and the National Congress in India. So Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madni basically make a solid statement, or he make a clarification that his position on the nationalism and Islam reflect the ideas of the Muhammad Ali Johar and Maulana Mahmud Hassan. Madni, who emerged from the Deoband tradition, or we can say that Deobandi tradition, amidst various factions for the Muslim voices in the pre-independence India, which highlights the irony of the secular elites supporting a separate Islamic state while religious scholars like Madani, who advocated for a secular and united India, Madani basically or Madani's personal and the public writings are very much examined to understand his political thought, which actually revealed his adoption of the liberal ideas, including subjective rights, which basically critique the British colonial rule. So Madani's opposition to the partition and the concept of Pakistan is underscored, and as he developed the notion of composite nationalism, despite of the separatist idea of the Pakistan, which was supported by many of the uh, secular leader, those who are earlier called as secular leader. Though although composite nationalism was theologically contentious in Madani's time, it played a significant role in legitimizing the Muslim presence in post-independent India. So Madani basically was very much against the British imperialism, and his idea basically comes in the context of the opposition of the British imperialism. So Hussain Ahmad Madani's primary political motivation was anti-imperialism, which he developed during his imprisonment in Malta. He was there in Malta in the jail for a long time under the British rule. So he hailed from an intellectual tradition that tolerated the Hindu majority, but harbored deep apprehensions towards the British colonialism. Madni's early writings compromised with the British anti-British polemics and also focused on the detrimental effects of the British colonialism on India's economy, productivity, and its global Muslim politics, and also its impact on the global Muslim politics. While his early writings uh, mainly focused on expelling the British, they did not delve deeply into the complexities of what independence would entail. So Madni's later political thought has reconstructed from his articles, books, memoirs, and letters reflects a more mature engagement with the liberalism. Despite of many criticism that he faced from the religious and the secular leaders, he never detracts or never betrayed from claiming inconsistency in opposition of the British rule while welcoming Hindu rule. Madni's views can be understood as consistent through his engagement with liberalism. He adopted liberal ideas to critique British imperialism in liberal terms and leading him to support the composite nationalism. So Madni's commitment to secular nationalism was not always wholehearted, which reflected the complexities of his political thought. That we must need to understand what is composite nationalism actually. That was his basic idea, which was advocating for the secular nationalism, which also created controversy among Indian Muslims, particularly regarding the role Muslims would have in the future nation. So basically, uh, on the another side, such as among the many of the earlier secular Muslims, those who were supporting the idea of the partition, they have a kind of insecurity among their minds that what will happen with the Muslims after independence as being a minority in India. So for that purpose, they demanded a separate state. But Madani opposed this view, such as we know that Muslim League campaigners they expressed their concern about negotiating with the Congress, as they left Congress relied on the Muslim support but might neglected the Muslim interest after independence. So finally, the tension was escalated in 1938 when the renowned poet Allah Muhammad Iqbal, who published a poem criticizing the Madni for his defense of the secular Indian nationalism. We know that even the Allama Iqbal was a modernist reformer, Islamic modernist reformer, but he supported the idea of separate Islamic state. On the other hand, which his when he published a poem while criticizing the Madni for his defense of secular nationalism, then this matter became more prominent and become more fiery, became more prominent. So Madani's assertion that nations were based on geography, but he said that nations are based on the geography, not on religion. Uh, that was to counter by Iqbal, who accused Madani of ignorance regarding the faith. So in his poem, Allama Iqbal likened Madani to Abu Lahab. I mean, he compared the Madani with the Abu Lahab. He was a historical figure considered an adversary of the Prophet Muhammad, I mean the enemy of Prophet Muhammad and the early Muslim community in Makkah. So, uh, given the tension and misunderstanding that were rising, Madni addressed the issue of nationalism in further detail, especially from his perspective as a Muslim theologian. So, Madni defended the notion of Muttahida Qawmiyat, that what we call the composite nationalism, as being fully within the ideals of the Islam. So, he basically create a sense of compatibility between Islam and the composite nationalism. In his perspective, two different nations or the could live or could stay together. So composite nationalism was the idea that different religious groups could unite as one nation, each of them respecting the right of the other to follow a separate lifestyle while agreeing to cooperate on the political matters. Madni also pointed out to the constitution of Medina for the reference of his idea uh, of composite nationalism. So the covenant between the Jews and the Muslims in the 7th century, Medina as a precedent for his kind of nationalism. There was a case of the Prophet himself sanctioning the fact that all parties shall be regarded as one nation. It is incumbent upon Muslims to help and support Jews who are party to the covenant. So Madni basically support for secular nationalism based on his Madina's covenant uh, acknowledgement that he given earlier in the last para. So basically, it sparked the controversy among Indian Muslims regarding their role in the future nation, particularly concerning the representation of the Indian Muslim minorities. So he defended secular Indian nationalism and asserted that nations should be based on geography rather than religion, leading to criticism from figures like Iqbal. And in response, Madni advocated for Muttahida Qawmiyat or composite nationalism, where different religious groups could unite as one nation while respecting each other's lifestyle and cooperating on political matters. He cited the Constitution of Medina also, which sanctioned cooperation between Muslims and Jews as evidence that Muslims could join Hindus as one nation without theological constraints. Friends, now we are going to conclude that the significance of his ideas and his impact even till that towards the end of his life, Hussain Madni found himself increasingly isolated, with fellow ulama abandoning him to support the Pakistan cause and then facing criticism for the modernist Islamists and League campaigners, those who were the supporters of the Muslim League. So, at the end of his life, Hussain Ahmad Madni found himself increasingly isolated with the fellow ulama, those who abandoned him in the isolation due to his idea of secularism, nationalism, because he did not supported the idea of Pakistan and faced so much criticism from modernist Islamists and League campaigners who saw him as a traitor to Islam. Despite his isolation, Madni remained a vocal advocate for secular nationalism, and he represented an overlooked historical group of religious scholars who supported a united India before independence. And Madni's influence as a significant portion of ulama continued to support a united India and remained in the country even after partition. So Madni's concept of the composite nationalism gained attention or traction after independence, offering a theological basis for Indian Muslims to engage politically and fostering cooperation between Hindus and Muslims, notably through the Darul Uloom of Deoband. Historians of the South Asia find Madni to be a significant figure, challenging standard narratives of the Indian nationalism and connecting South Asian Muslim thought with other anti-imperial thinkers in the Muslim world. In the realm of the political thought, in the domain of the political thought, Madni contributed to the understanding of the global liberal constitutional movement as identified by the Christopher Bellil. Uh, Lastly, Madni discussed on the multicultural nationalism and he also provided some valuable insights into the contemporary issues of political belonging and difference, particularly regarding the Islam's compatibility with the liberal citizenship. In conclusion, we can say that Hussain Ahmad Bandi emerged as a pivotal figure in modern Indian political thought and South Asian Muslim debates, which offer a rich material for historians, political theorists, and scholars interested in the understanding of the complexities of nationalism, religious identity, and liberalism in the context of South Asia and beyond. Madni also differentiated between a geographically based people, and a millah, which means a religious community, arguing that the cooperation between different faiths was permissible and necessary to achieve common goals. He proposed the composite nationalism as a logical outcome of a liberal critique of British imperialism. He advocated for citizenship based on the natural rights rather than religion. Despite some nationalist campaigners welcoming the idea, many ulama, including despite of disciples of Thanvi like Jafar Ahmad Usmani, who criticized the Madni's claim, Usmani argued that the composite nationalism would lead to the assimilation of the Muslim into the larger culture and a decline in Muslim beliefs and rituals. Basically, he advocated instead for a separate state. Madni also countered these arguments by highlighting the long history of Muslims living peacefully as a minority in India and emphasized the urgency of expelling the British as a primary concern for preserving faith. So he viewed ideas of separatism as imperialist tools aimed at dividing Muslims, akin to the splitting of the Ottoman Empire through the divide and rule tactics. So thank you, friends.